Welcome to the enchanting world of the Never Cross a Witch Bitch podcast. Prepare to be captivated as we embark on a thrilling journey into the realm of spirituality with our remarkable team of a distinctive energy mixture. Leading the way is Mitch Garlington, a gifted gay male witch, touring stage medium, and psychic tarot card reader. With a background in the competitive corporate world and experience as a Cher impersonator, Mitch brings a fresh and unique perspective to our discussions. Next, we have Lucy Locke, a former fundamentalist Christian missionary turned sex shop manager turned professional dog groomer turned psychic medium, trance channeler, and tarot card reader. Her incredible transformation into the spiritual world is truly inspiring. And last but certainly not least, we have Carly Batten, a second-generation practicing pagan, intuitive oracle card reader, and spiritual mother to many. Carly brings a grounded approach and simple understanding to the complexities of spiritual living. Together, we form an unstoppable podcast as we delve into all things spiritual and the journey of life. Our mission is crystal clear: to spread the message that spirit embraces all and that each of us is on a spiritual path, whether we realize it or not. So buckle up and get ready for an exhilarating adventure with the Never Cross a Witch Bitch podcast. Please note that all ideas discussed and presented in this podcast are the personal opinions of the individual podcasters and do not necessarily reflect the views of each other or the viewers. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 5th episode, of Never Cross a Witch Bitch. We've just been discussing what we were going to talk about, and we've come up with the title of Who Makes the Rules?
Exactly.
Who
exactly
makes the rules
that.
when it comes to your spiritual walk? Yeah. So I want to welcome Carly and Mitch and myself, Lucy.
Hello.
And let's get started, you guys. Thoughts?
Yeah, let's get started. Thoughts. Throw it in there, just like that.
As I
Mitch,
take a
thoughts.
drink from my fancy new
Oh yeah, that's all like
Who
take
Cross
Yeah,
a Witch Bitch mug.
The elephant in the room. So thank you, Lucy, for our wonderful
You're welcome.
friend of mine saw these on the photo and said we should merchandise them.
Wink,
Oh.
wink. Oh, I
Wink,
winked with
wink.
the wrong eye. Wink, wink. I can only wink with that eye. So anyway, it tastes
right.
the hot drink tastes extra good out of this mug, isn't it? Because it's made with the intention of. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Magical intention, you know.
Wait till we get the hoodies. I'll be sitting here with armpit stains and sweating as we're sitting in the hoodies that Mitch wants us to wear. Anyway, let's get started. Get started.
So anyway, let's get it started. Come on, we're diverting. So, Mitch, what are your views on this?
Who makes the rules? Who does make the rules? I think actually this is a really interesting subject matter because I've been victim to quite a few people that have felt like they make the rules and have tried to limitate a person's growth throughout spiritual development and progression. And if you think of like a circle, the whole point of a circle is there is no head, there is no hierarchy, everyone has equal energy, and that's the whole point of what a circle offers. It's a blend of energy, everyone can hold space. It's often said we're always the teacher and the student at the same time, aren't we? So when we're looking in terms of who makes the rules, I think it's people that abuse their position, or they actually just abuse their energy and try and inflict that on other people.
Oh, interesting.
Do you think that do you think that because obviously this subject matter has come up because there's a few things that have come up in topic just recently on recent posts that we've seen. Do you think that those people that, I'm slightly guilty of it when people come to the stall and say I'm a baby witch, I go, because I hate that. It's a bit like Love and Light, isn't it? Because I say to them, I don't try and change their mind. If they want to refer to themselves as a baby witch, that's absolutely fine. But I do say, please don't refer to yourself as a baby witch, because you're not a baby. You're just regaining your steps. So technically speaking, I'm slightly guilty of that. If you get my gist. But is it the fact that sometimes, not that I'm defending them, but is it a fact that sometimes people who are saying you should be this, you shouldn't do this, you can't be a witch because you haven't got a witch name? I mean, what is the witch name thing? I mean, I don't understand that. Anyway, that's something we'll come across in a minute. But is it because actually they don't realize they're doing it or setting down rules? Is it because they're just so strongly opinionated that that's their thought pattern process and they can't see anyone else's? Or is it a hierarchy thing? Do you
I think it's abuse. I think a lot of people get to a point of power. They know that they have others that look up to them, and rather than holding space, they use that to their own personal advantage, their own personal gain, actually.
Yeah,
I think
I
there's a
have
lot
the
of
feeling.
some people definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like, for me, before I came into the kind of this type of spirituality, the pagan and the witch, and reading tarot and using my spiritual gifts, I was, a fundamentalist Christian many moons ago, and I've gone through about a 18-year span of deconstructing from that. And part of that deconstructing for me was realizing I was very spiritually abused at times in the church. There is a hierarchy system. There is a system that people's opinions, they get attached to their opinions, and then they say that those opinions come from God, right?
And what
Well, that's
happened to you
really,
when you learned that? What happened? Like, what was sort of that energy that went through your mind when you realized, oh shit, this has been happening to me?
well, it took many years of being anxiety to even admit that I was spiritually abused. Because
Okay.
when someone's coming at you and says, Spirit says this, or God says this, how can you fight that? Like you can say it's not spirit,
Mm,
but when you're in this mode of, and in this place, this vulnerability of really wanting to live a spiritual life, really wanting to do the best for God, the best for spirit, right? And someone comes at you like that, and they're of a position of authority in your eyes, a possible mentorship type thing in your eyes. For a person that's vulnerable in the mindset of I want to do the best I can, I want to please God.
mm.
Does that make sense? It How do you
Yeah.
fight? Like that's the strongest being in the universe. God, the creator.
Mm,
Does that make sense? So it can bring a lot of anxiety, a lot
Mm,
of anxiety. And it took many, when I'm talking anxiety, I'm talking anxiety, okay? Really bad depression, really bad anxiety. When I finally, there was no such thing as spiritual abuse back in the days. This is newish. It's probably about 2005, maybe a little bit before there,
mm,
coming up, and it's still not like talked about enough, if that makes sense. It's coming out a little bit more and more about cult stuff abusing people,
mm,
but people
mm.
go, "Oh, I'm not part of a cult." So, and you don't have to be part of a cult to abuse people spiritually. And
mm,
it to me, it's when you're connected to your opinions and you're using your opinions and saying spirit or God says it's thus.
mm,
And you're not
Yeah.
clearing yourself, like that person that's doing the abusing is not clear in themselves and has not stepped aside to let spirit flow, because spirit is all about love. I betcha, this is just my opinion and my thoughts on spirit and what I've experienced from spirit. Not to this degree, but I would take it to this degree. If I was sitting in front of a serial killer and I opened myself up to spirit enough and put my personal opinions aside of how awful that is, I bet you love would flow through to that serial killer.
Yeah, quite
mm,
possibly.
So that's
mm,
how it should be. It shouldn't, I don't think it should be this rules. I think it should come from a place of absolute love and purity, that
mm,
that person feels so loved that they get lifted up instead
mm,
of brought down. And like I've had it in my life where spiritual people of assumed authority that I've assumed they have authority have really tried to cap me in my gifts. And I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know if it's fear. Well, the two go hand in hand. Lots of negative emotions are all intertwined anyway, so you can't really peg it down to one thing. But, you know, if we are working for spirit and want spirit to be the first and foremost and people be attached to spirit, then we shouldn't be capping anyone. We should be woo. Do you know what I'm saying? Let's like the more people that want to rise up and work for spirit in a pure way, let's rise them up. Let's help. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's getting into that thing of ego too.
Yeah, crosses over, doesn't it? The thing between we were talking about earlier, weren't we? We were saying about this ego. Yeah, I mean, looking at on it from a practice side of things, a witchcraft side of things. We obviously having the conversation about witch names, and I think people are under a lot of fear, although they're a lot under peer pressure. If when you see people starting out on your path, I actually had it the weekend. There was a lovely lady come to speak to me. And fun enough, I wish I'd gotten to speak to you as well, because they were coming from a Christian background, the whole family. So the whole family, the husband and wife,
this fair
and the
this
children.
last weekend, this last weekend.
Yeah.
Crazy,
Husband and wife I know. Husband and wife had decided that they didn't particularly want to follow the Christian following anymore. They started to realize there was more out there. They're going out, you know, and it was actually really nice. You know how you sometimes meet people starting on a path, I call it the Pac-Man. And it's lovely, but it's enthusiasm. You know, they've got to have everything. They've got to know everything. And there's a lot of information, isn't it? But I call it,
it's a sponge. I'm still like that in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. And you sort of go, oh, I got to know everything. And you go, whoa, just take a breath. It's not going to go anywhere. You will come back round to it. Just take your time anyway. It's absolutely fine. They weren't like that. She was like, I really want to know what's going on. I'm really interested. Where do I start? And I said, stand outside, you know. But they were so open to everything. It was lovely. So but because they were taking their time, they were able to digest, and I think they would pick through things better and pick things that were better for them, and not be overridden by you must have this name, you must do this, you must go to the Sabbaths, because there's so much out there that people are bombarded with how other people do things. Find people that are keen and eager, go, I haven't sat on a full moon, and they go, oh well, you can't be a pagan then because you haven't sat in the full moon. Do you know what I mean? They're going, these people that are coming in, the people I spoke to the weekend, are coming in slower, so they're taking their time to digest the information, rather than people that are coming in really enthusiastic and then feel they're not doing it properly.
Yeah. But you even said pagan. Sorry, for me, go ahead, Mitch. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say, like, this whole thing of witches' names. I'd not even heard of these bloody witches' names until we had this discussion earlier.
Neither did
I was like, what the hell's your bloody witch's name? And I don't think it takes away any. You know, you can call me Mitch, you can call me Bob the Builder. If my intention to do a spell is my intention, I don't care what I'm called. It's still going to have the same results, isn't it? Really, personally. Sorry, guys, if anyone's getting offended by that.
No.
But...
Yeah, I think the witch's name thing is, you know, we've done a bit of research. I admit I've heard about it before. I heard about it about 20 years ago, and I was like, what is all that about? And it's been, because I work solitary, it's been nothing that's really appealed to me. Like Mitch, it's nothing that's really appealed. I don't understand it, you know. But I know a lovely lady who refers to herself as a certain witch, but she, you know, she wears red all the time. And if she was a seer in a Viking village, she would be referred to as that witch because she looks like that, and that's her identity, if you know what I mean. But I think it's more reading on it and looking at it from another point of view is when you're in a coven, and in a circle, and then you have a practicing name. So rather, it's like an alias, and it's, you either pick that name up either in meditation, or you're given that name by whoever is taking the coven through meditation or it's fed to you. So I think it's more in that side of things. I don't know, I'm on mixed feelings. It's not for me. I wouldn't do it, but I don't work in covens, and that's just
If it was
my
from a coven
feeling.
perspective, do you feel there's the danger that people could misabuse that and use that almost again as like
I
depression potentially?
Yeah, I feel it could be potentially could be used, if not um coming from the right space. And
Mm,
like in any
Mm.
organization and any tribe, there is that risk of abuse, or there is
Yeah,
that risk
turning
of taking
culty.
advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, taking advantage of situations that sort of, because abuse is a really strong word, and obviously that goes from anything from mild to severe. Whether the abuse is abuse, whether it's physical, mental, emotionally, it's when you take away that person's, personality, you take over and you snuff it, you snuff on it, shit on it, basically. And I think any type in any situation where you've got human beings in a gathering, you run the chance of that happening.
yeah,
And I
it
think,
makes
I
sense.
mean, yeah, I mean, a coven can be anything from me and you, Mitch, to 30 people.
Mm,
It doesn't have to be a massive coven, or, so you can work in a coven and have three of you. you know but I think, obviously, like everything, the more people you have in there, the more opportunities there are for people to start letting their ego, as we were talking about, take over, and not come from a place of good, not come from a
yeah,
place
place of
of
truth.
good intention and a place of truth. And I think it's when people don't keep checking themselves and keep their feet on the ground, I think that is when you run the danger of it then becoming a hierarchy thing. And I think the majority of the time, I think people don't realize they're doing it. I think they don't,
Oh,
but
I
because,
agree. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
they don't realize it's happening. And they don't even, if you sat there and said to them, well, just check yourself, keep your feet on the floor. You're exactly the same as me and everybody else in here. You've got two eyes, you breathe the same air. You're no
So,
higher, if you know what I
yeah.
mean.
Yeah, like what can happen is people, let's take it down to a practical level of what we see day to day. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to take it a little bit out of the spiritual realm, but it can happen it definitely happens in the spiritual community. Is you've got politicians or famous people, right? So
Mm,
they get so well, like they get people around them and they look at them as some sort of kind of mentor or authority figure in something. And they start turn because they're in awe of that person, they start turning into
Mm.
yes men. Does that make sense? But that person might not
Yeah.
even want yes men at that time. But that's what happens is they get these yes men, people that are scared to lose holding on to a part of this person's cloak of this assumed authority, specialness, that kind of thing, right? So when you're surrounded by yes men, yes men, yes men, and no one has grounded you, no one, does that make sense? You can,
Mm.
you're going to change. Does that,
mm,
am I making sense here? It's almost like an evolution that is really, really tough not to
Mm.
fall into unless you've got
Mm.
someone that is, or people around you that maybe have known you before this has happened and saying like, come on, get with it. You're just Joe, you know?
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
And why are
Mm.
you believing you're this other name? You know what I'm saying? That has all these
Mm.
powers. I've known you before. Yeah, you're special, but everyone else is special. But what happens is other people in the families or this or that close also get wrapped up in this phenomenon that's
Mm.
being created, and it turns very ungrounded very quickly. And
Mm.
you get people that are just living in their own world and think they can say whatever they want to people and think they're God in a sense, or they're the closest thing to
Mm.
God
yeah.
because
Mm.
It's
no
very
one is.
sort of dangerous, isn't it? Really.
It's very dangerous. And you see it just
Mm.
in normal spiritual communities. Someone's
Mm,
had some good evidence, you know what I'm saying? Maybe some good really good reads, and it's been well known that that person has some evidence that's following them, that they do hear from spirit, right? And that they're doing this work. And then you get the followers, the people that want to hear from them over and over and over again, and it can turn into this where it's not about spirit anymore. It turns into be about the person. And they're
Yeah.
latching on to the person, and they're not realizing, again, we've talked about this, where the messages are coming from. And then that's when it can turn into abuse, where the person maybe has never their childhood trauma they've never dealt with or whatever, and they like the feeling of power and control. And it's subtle. That's why this book that I'm reading, The Subtle Power of Spiritual Abuse, it's so subtle. It's not something blatant that you can see and go, ooh, that's abuse, and walk away from.
Yeah, and
It's
it happens over
subtle.
a period of time, isn't it? It's a
Yeah.
slow process. You
Yeah.
know, I just remember when I used to do a trance circle, you know, and I loved it in the beginning stages, and it was really good, it was really positive. And then as I was progressing in my other circle, and I was getting sort of stronger as a medium, a mental medium, you know, trance messages would start coming in that were being channeled by the mentor, saying, you know, you're a good card reader, but that's all you're ever going to be, and know your place. Don't get too ahead of yourself.
That's
And I was like,
abuse.
this
That is
isn't coming from
abuse.
spirit. Yeah, I was like, this is not coming from spirit. This is coming from this own person's ego being channeled through. Winston Churchill was the person that she particularly channels, this
Maybe
mentor.
she does. I'm
So
sorry. I shouldn't say, or he.
yeah, well, you know, and I think that yes, there was the channelings of that kind of energy, 100% with their own agenda thrown in. And I was starting to come away from trance just feeling so deflated, so brought down. And I was actually becoming really depressed. And I thought, wow, that's something that I've loved for a long time has gone from being quite a positive experience to very negative. And I just got to a stage where I was like, I can't be in this trance circle anymore. And as soon as I left, doors opened for me. Now, if I'd have stayed there, I think that I would have become so suppressed. I might not have even been a reader today if I'd have stayed there, you know? So, and I mean, you've had that before, Lucy, where you've had spiritual people of saying, my guide is saying, no, your guide is not saying, you're just
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And it takes
And
a,
it's, it,
I am glad I went through that Christian experience because I can see that now. And
yeah,
I'm not scared to say, but if I hadn't gone through that and I joined this kind of environment and I was in that, I would probably be the same Lucy as back then and be very like nervous to say, I don't necessarily even say it to the person that's saying it. I just walk away and put a veil of protection of that's, and I might like
yeah,
voice it out to like
you just know.
Mitch or a friend. Does that make sense? That I trust that would be like, no, maybe they've got a point, or maybe no, that's you know what I'm saying. That's all. But I feel if you're in a place of openness to spirit and you have a sense of being in tune with yourself, and see, back in my Christian days, my in tune with myself was taken away from me because their
Mm,
belief system is that everyone's a sinner, this and that. Does that make sense? Everyone, and so then it creates that hierarchy of I'm better because I don't do this and this and this. And so you can't hear from God because you do this and this and this. It's not said that way, but it's very
It's implied.
implied in there in the energy. Does that make sense? And people fall into the energy. And that's what's so dangerous. It's like I'm really from a place of like I try. I'm human. And you know, you guys hear me about things like that. But when I'm sitting spiritually with someone, does that make sense? And I'm in that place of I'm privileged enough to help someone or speak into their lives or, you know, do cards for them or whatever. I really, really, really try to set my own agenda aside
mm,
because I know what it feels like to be hurt. I know what it feels like to come away confused, anxious, feeling like God can't stand you, that you're not right, you know, that kind of thing, that something bad is going to happen to you. I know that feeling and it's fucking awful. So I don't ever want anyone, I don't care who they are, to ever feel that way. So for me, I pick up on it right away when someone is like, if it's a negative thing and it doesn't resonate with the person, then if it doesn't resonate, you can just say no.
Mm.
You know,
Definitely.
if it's meant to be told to you, you're gonna hear it numerous amounts of times, and it might be like, okay, I get it now. But if you're told this thing and it's a bit scary, or you feel a bit like odd or manipulate, you know in your gut something's not right. You know what I'm saying? Even though your brain is saying, "Oh, you should listen to them. They're a mentor. They're this," but inside you're going, "Ugh, oh, I don't know." And it could be
Mm.
just subtle because you're so
Mm.
deluded with um
Mm.
of awe, or that you shouldn't speak against authority. Does that make sense? So it might
Yeah.
be just very, very subtle, this feeling of something's not right. That feeling is that's the truth. That's not
Mm.
rebellion. That's not you being awful. That's protection. That's something
Mm.
saying, don't take that in. That is not meant, you're not meant to hold that. Because people do have
Find you,
agendas.
yeah, people do, and I mean, you Facebook. I know we're on Facebook. Sorry, Facebook, but it, you tend to find in a lot of the witches groups, and probably Mitch has seen this. You get a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm a new witch," and then people saying, "You should do this, you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't do that." And I think people are trying to sometimes, not all the time, they're trying to offer advice, but I think they're not thinking about how they reply. Do you know what I mean? Or how they say what they want to say. So instead of going, well, this is how I became a witch. My grandmother, my great grandmother, my great great grandmother, my great 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 grandmother is a witch, and that's why I am. They're just turning around and going, well, you can't be a witch because you haven't come from a long line of. So is it
Mm.
the fact that sometimes people are just being too human, or humans are being too peoply, and they're
They're
not thinking
attached.
about how they, yeah, they're not
Yeah.
thinking about how they reply to what people are. So you're getting someone who's new to the path, who's pac-manning, bless them, because they want to know everything. We've all done it. I've been there, got all the shiny toys, got all the stuff that we want. Lucy, don't you dare make a comment. Shiny toys. I was waiting for it.
It wasn't me
Behave.
last week going like this and whatever you were doing.
I was waiting for her to say something. To be honest, she didn't. I was quite impressed. But we've all been there and done it, and then someone comes along and says something, but doesn't mean it to come out the way it's said. So again, it's this whole blinking blasted terminology thing, isn't it? I think people. I mean, Facebook is it's one way of completely destroying somebody's path, their
Oh,
flame.
there's terrible trolls, keyboard
Yeah,
warriors out there.
there's some really good, there's some really lovely people, some really really lovely people. The majority of the groups I'm involved in, they're lovely and they offer support and they'll say, well, this is my opinion and this is how I feel and this is how I got to my path. But don't forget, it's your path. There's loads of supportive people, but there's lots of people out there that are not thinking how they reply. Do you think that is what it is some of the time with this making rules, or do you think it's come from other people above them that have then, or not above, that's the wrong word, but other people in their circle have said, you can't do this because of this, and then they're passing on that information?
I just think there's a lot of arseholes, to be honest, because like with
Yeah, of
Facebook,
course.
as you're sort of saying about Facebook, it's like when I put a post up for, say, a show or a demo, you'll get like some people that will tag people in, oh, do you want to go to this lovely, lovely? Then you get this barricade of, people that have never seen your work, they've never sort of probably even experienced a spiritualist night with all this stuff, and you just think, who the bloody hell are you to critique what someone does or doesn't do? And the thing is, people that are coming to these shows, it's not about converting them or making them a believer. Most of the time, people that come to my shows, they've already had their own connection with spirit, something so profound, something so personal that is between spirit and that person. And coming to a mediumistic night is often about reaffirming that or getting deeper evidence or just being in the energy. So these keyboard warriors and these people that, try to devalue the work of a medium or whoever, I just find it really exhausting. And it does make me wonder what has been so bad in your life, or who has caused you so much pain to be an arsehole? Because when we strip it all back to basics, we're all taught as kids, treat others as you want to be treated. It's the same for sort of covens or spiritual circles. When you pull it all back to basics, shouldn't we be treating each other as we would want to be respected and treated? That's all it comes down to, doesn't it, really? But yet we don't, or people don't. And it's like, why is that?
Yeah.
Is that
The abuse.
society?
Yeah. That's to me, and I'm going to use the word abuse. It is abuse and bullying, right?
Mm,
When people come on, for instance, like your people that are looking into becoming a witch and what it takes to become a witch, and they're like, well, no, you can't do that because you don't come from the lineage I come from, blah, blah, blah. That's ego, right then and there. To me, like and it's bullying, and it's like, to me, spirituality is fun
yeah.
because you get to test out what you get to find out who you are. You get to test out different things and see what's for you and what's not for you, and what's your specialty and what's your giftings. And when you find little giftings, working on those giftings and having such fun with spirit. There's responsibility, but there's also a fun element to it. And people have taken it away and made it way too serious, that
Mm,
it becomes a drone and people just fall to the wayside. And these people have probably the ones with the most delicate hearts, and and beautiful hearts are the ones that fall to the wayside because they they absorb too much of these bullies that think they're higher up and can tell you, oh, you're going to only be a card reader and you can't become a witch because of this and this and this, and you can't. Screw that. Screw that. Like, I
yeah.
had that my entire Christian life. I had that my entire first half of my life spiritual walk. I'm not having it the second half. This is for me in spirit. This is not spirituality for me is not about, it's the joys of meeting people that are like-minded, and we can have a good yak together and have fun times together, and support each other in a circle. But even in circles, I've seen the favoritism and the hierarchy in circles,
Oh yeah, 100%.
and I'm just like, what's this all about? A circle is
Mm,
meant that someone hosts a circle, and yeah, maybe someone maybe is a few steps further on the road in their particular gifting, and that we're trying to all develop, but it just turns into this comparison thing. And to me, it's not. I want so far away from that because that was a trap for me before, and I know that trap, and I just go, no, this second half of my life is about me and spirit, and me
mm.
really knowing spirit and having fun with my intuition, and having fun with seeing what resonates and doesn't resonate with me, and just falling madly and madly in love with spirit and my guides and them. That's what it's about, I
Yeah,
think. And we've
definitely. This
gotten
is
way too serious about it. Like, it's just turned into a big
Mm,
ego mess.
this is why I do my own shows now, and I don't serve the centres or the churches or the little spaces anymore, because there's so many rules and regulations of what you can and what you can't do, and I can't work like that as a medium. If spirit want to sort of be the way they are, I have to be able to be, as a medium, bring in that energy, that essence. So I will swear sometimes. I do walk up and down and all these things you're not meant to do on platform. And people respect me more as a medium because I'm keeping it real. Often a common theme of message from my shows, whether people have had a message directly or not, is Mitch keeps his evidence and his message is real. It's like the real people, and that's what it is. But when you're trying to sort of say, you've got to do it this way, you've got to do it that way, blah, 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 it's not essence of what spirit is it, almost, because we're trying
no.
to dilute it too much.
I mean, to talk of just a thought pattern that was coming through as you guys were thinking. I mean, there's going to be some people that listen to this and go, well, you're now, all three of you are now sat there saying, well, it should be like this. We're not saying that. What we're trying to do is open everybody's eyes and ears to other stuff, and how we see it. So, and how maybe look past what you're being fed, or look past start asking questions. And if, like you, Lucy, like you said, if you feel in your gut that it's slightly wrong or it feels uncomfortable, then there's obviously something else to ask. Don't, and it's also allowing people to have the confidence to step up and go, this isn't my thing. I'm going and doing my own thing, or have the confidence to say, okay, I don't have a witch name, but I will carry on shining my light and I will carry on doing what I need to do. I'm not a fifth generation healer or a witch, but I'm just as capable as you as doing my magic. So whilst we are saying how we feel, we're also not dictating what you should be doing. Do you? Because I just sort of sat there listening, thinking, "Oh, hang on a minute, we're now going, we don't like this and we don't like that," but we're looking at it from all angles, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, and we always say at the beginning, that blurb, these are our own personal opinions.
Yeah,
everything
absolutely.
I talk about is out of my experience in life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, do I have a problem with spiritual churches? No, at all, not at all. But they're not my forte. Does that make sense? And that doesn't say negative or positive. It's not my forte. So, and Mitch has every right too to say, I like walking around. I like walking around and having a few swear words I love swearing. Okay. Swearing to me, like I have to hold my tongue here because I could go off on, I love swearing. And people go, you can't say that. Who says I can't say that?
Exactly.
like who says
who's making the rules?
Just because
it
offends you or makes you uncomfortable doesn't mean I'm wrong. But you don't have to accept what I never tell anyone, and I would never tell anyone they have to accept anything I have to say. But if it frees someone, I go, if it doesn't and people get pissed off, then that's their journey and that's okay. And it doesn't mean we can have to hate each other either. Right?
Yeah, we're allowed to agree to disagree, aren't we? There's this weird concept of like everybody must follow suit. Do you think with this like witch's name thing, you can decide it by, what's your first pet, what's your last thing you ate? Do you think you can kind of get it about
like a porn name?
Yeah, because I just kind of feel like my kind of witch's name would be something like, I don't know, like Oscar sort of McDonald or something. Like,
what did I just
I just find it really strange that like people
Turkey
would get
roast.
so worried about the name, because the name is just one little piece, and it's what you do day in, day out. That's what defines and makes you a witch, and it's almost it goes back to moral compass. How are you working as a person? Forget the name, forget the title. How are you working as a person? What's coming from your own heart? That's the true essence of what makes a witch, isn't it, really?
I mean, if people feel they sat in the coven and they feel they want a witch name as a tool to be able to enhance, as a tool to be able to enhance that. It's like holding a crystal, isn't it? Having a name. So, if they, to them personally, so if they feel that enhances their magic workings, that's great because it gives it a bit more oomph. But I think that, I don't understand it. I think a lot of the time when people find witch names, I think it's done through meditation or it's done through dreams or, that type of thing. And that's them. That's great. But it's not, I couldn't call myself pub bog scrubber. I mean, it just wouldn't work, could it?
I think, again, someone wrote on our page the other day that they had a witch name. And I actually got a good feeling from it because they said it's not about the name, it's about my intentions and what I use with it. Does that make sense? And and they like having a witch name. And I see, again, it's that playfulness, it's that fun, it's that belonging, whatever. As long as it's coming, like the energy is okay with you and the people around you, I see zero problem with it. It could be with the same when people say, oh, my spirit animal is, I've got a wolf and I've got an owl or I've got an eagle that flies beside me. Mine might be a millipede, I don't know, or a slug. I don't know. Mine most likely would be a slug. All juicy and slimy, crawling along real slow. I don't know. But does it make it better or less than it's
no, but it does for you, doesn't it?
It's
does
all
for you.
individual. Does that make sense? And it's what it speaks to you. And it's what it does for you. And then it's how it comes out of you and serves spirit and serves the people around you. That's what matters.
I think you've got, yeah, I think it definitely is. It's how it serves you. And I think that if anybody's feeling intimidated by rules, as we don't like rules and terminology, they've got to know what sits for them, and think, well, who's telling me that I've got to have a witch name to practice, or I've got to have a spirit animal to be a healer? Well, no, if you don't want one, don't have one. If you want a slug, have a slug. Perfect. If it makes you feel good, great.
Yeah. I mean, the whole point is all about empowerment, isn't it? I always remember a mentor said to me once, probably the worst bit of advice I ever was given from this mentor. And it was really soul destroying because I had this, a bit like what Lucy was saying earlier, I had this mentor up on a pedestal. I thought, this is someone that's got my back and everything else. And this mentor said to me, Mitch, you're too nice. You're going to get spit out and swallowed up whole. You need to change your character. You need to change who you are to fit into this world. And I just thought, oh my God. And it just, all my hackles went up and it felt so wrong. And I thought, my whole life I've been told, you need to be this, you need to be that. And I thought, no, I'm not doing it anymore. A bit like what Lucy said, I refuse to be a version that other people want. And I thought, people will accept me for me. They'll accept my spiritualism, my magic for me, or they won't be my types of people. I thought, I'm not going to sort of change who I am just to fit into a club or a circle or a room. And I thought that was some of the worst advice I was ever given, really, actually. But it also confirmed how at peace I am with my internal spirit. The fact that I thought, no, I'm not taking that on as truth. That is going to be moved to one side. But there are some that are perhaps not so comfortable or at peace with who they are, where that could have done real lasting damage,
Yeah, because as humans, we all want to be seen. It's a natural thing. Does that make sense? You might go, oh, I don't want to be seen. Well, there might be some shame about being seen, but when it comes down to, we all want to be seen, heard, cared for, loved, and so people in these authority positions need to really realize that, that
Yeah,
when you're in these assumed positions, rabbit ears for people that don't want, assumed positions, it is a responsibility because, like, for instance, that I've had that in my past where people are like, you're too kind, you take things too to heart, and it was like saying I was wrong for feeling deep feelings
for having empathy. Yeah,
and having empathy. And I battled with that for years and years and years of thinking, oh, I can't handle the exact same thing pretty much coming from a different source, but of I won't be able to live the spiritual life because I feel too deeply. I respond too emotionally to things. When that's actually a real gifting. Spirit has now used that in my life, that when I'm cleared myself away, they use my emotions of I feel this, and then that person's like, oh my God, and that empathy is and being open to my emotions has helped people recognize their emotions inside of
yeah,
them and feel that they've been seen. So usually these types of authority figures, if they feel, oh, you shouldn't be like this, it's something they've denied in themselves and something that they see in you that they are jealous of or feel that they need to
they're
press
threatened
down.
by
It's
in some
almost at a
way. Yeah,
subconscious level that they do that. Because when I first came into the community of you guys and stuff like that, I was at a fair, this was a while ago, but I was at a fair and there was this lady walking around and someone came up to me and said, if you really want to be like, if you want to get your spiritual life moving and your career moving, you got to get to know her. And I went, and I just immediately kind of was like, again, trusting my gut of like, I didn't feel anything. I didn't really feel that great about it. And I didn't actually like that person saying that to me because I thought, no, it's my own journey. If I meet people, I meet people. Do you know what I'm saying? Organically or whatever, and things build or whatever. And so I thought, I'll look this person up because they told me their name. And they were the biggest fucking racist I've ever seen on Facebook. And
Oh,
I
really?
was like, what? 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 Like, I couldn't, you know, to me, that person's like, spirit loves all.
Mm.
Mm.
You know, like, I just couldn't believe it. And I thought, how people think this person's like way up here. And they're talking
Mm.
like, I was mind boggled, you know? And I'm glad I'm in the position I'm in now where I can say, nope, not for me. I'd rather lick a homeless man's balls than deal with that kind of person. Sorry. Like, I'm just
Exactly.
like, no, no. So,
No,
you know, for
not
people
saying
out
a
there that
homeless
are
man
worried
is
about their
dirty, but
spirituality, you can say no,
Yeah.
you know,
It's a
and you're
permission
not,
to, yeah, it's permission to
yeah,
stand in your own truth, your own power,
truth,
and
yeah.
what defines you as opposed to what somebody wants you to be doing or not doing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And like, you've got a question, well, if that person's the one that's going to get me seen, oh, I don't want to be seen.
mm,
Not in that way.
mm,
You
Yeah,
know,
don't
so
don't sacrifice your soul, isn't it, really?
exactly,
mm.
exactly. So it's sorry, I went way off there, but yeah, like it
No,
was
you didn't.
just
It's all threads, isn't it, that kind of builds up that bigger
so
sort of picture.
I'll just take a
Mm.
sip from my mug.
It's quite an interesting thing you said there about that somebody recommended you to go and maybe just sort of might had a little light bulb moment. Somebody said to you to go and talk to that person so that you could get in with them so that you could be seen. Isn't it quite worrying that you were strong enough to go, oh no, sorry, but I can be seen, or rabbit ears, I can make my own way. I don't need to shirt tail or jump on the train to be seen because that
Mm.
person is visual. And it's not necessarily that I hire personally, I don't think it's a hierarchy. It's just that they're out there a bit more. They're a
Yeah,
bit more on Facebook, they're a bit more on Instagram. They're no different. Um, isn't it quite worrying? And I really wish, oh, this is going to make me go all funny, but I really wish everybody would have the confidence to stand in their own power. And you don't need to jump on other people's shirt tails to be seen or to feel as though you're going to have media time or you're going to be noticed. Everybody, you will be noticed who you need to be noticed by. You don't have to be out there. I mean, Mitch, bless you, I love you to bits. You're everywhere, but you work bloody hard for that, and you're
I
where
do
you
work
should
hard.
be. Yeah, you where you should be. You're doing your tours, you're doing your fairs, you're doing your mediumship, you're on the web page, but you work blinking hard at that. So do you, Lucy. You're out there at fairs. You're putting yourself in that position, but you guys have worked for it. You don't,
but
I think people need to realize, be in your own power, stand in your own power, and be confident. And this is a real hard thing, and I know it is, but just do it. Take that leap. Put yourself on Facebook. Put yourself. You don't need to jump on somebody's shirt tails. Take advice from that person, but don't. You don't have to associate yourself with that person to be noticed. Yeah, I
yeah,
just think
yeah.
that's such.
I'm going to bring it around to this podcast. People might say, well, Lucy's not been in the scene that long, you know, and she's buddied up with Mitch there. And the reality is, like, I don't even remember how our friendship. I know we met through a read. I got a read from you, and you're actually
A
one of those
seedy
quite
fair.
boundaried. Yeah, at a
Yeah.
seedy fair, you're quite boundaried about who you let become your friends, but it organically kind of happened. And actually, I was the one saying to Mitch at the beginning, I'm nervous about we were getting really buddy with each other and having some laughs and stuff like that. And I actually put a boundary up saying, I'm never going to use you for spiritual advice.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm actually really nervous about being your friend because I'm more nervous about what the public is going to say because
And what did I say?
I
Fuck the
want to what
public or something.
exactly. Exactly. And I've had to I do that. And not that I'm angry at people and stuff like that, but if people have those thoughts, they're their thoughts. I know where our friendship originated from. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
I also know my journey since childhood to now, and I can see how spirit has used things to bring
Mm,
me, you, and Mitch together.
mm,
Together. Yeah. And
mm,
Does
it's
that
just
make
mm.
been an
sense? And so
organic
no one
journey.
else can judge that. That is
Yeah.
No.
my journey,
Mm,
and that is Mitch's journey, and that's your journey.
mm, mm. I mean, I obviously got Mitch to come and do the fairs because I was just really drawn to, Mitch, and I thought he's a really nice person. I'd seen him do some work, and I was like, oh, I'd really like Mitch to come one of my fairs. And it was literally, I was full of admiration, and I thought, well, I'll ask him and see what happens. I got whatever, and you did, and it was just like, oh my God,
And the rest is history.
Yeah,
as they
exactly.
say.
Now, isn't it interesting that if I'd have listened to that mentor's advice and if I'd have fine-tuned and changed my ways, used to may not have come into my vibration because I would have actually been suppressing my energy down. I wouldn't have been keeping it real. So our paths may never have crossed in the same way that it has if I'd have
Yeah,
listened to that advice of that mentor.
exactly.
Mm, If
Exactly.
you hadn't been strong enough, it hadn't been strong enough. I mean, I know it takes a lot, and I appreciate there's lots of people out there, and I think it might be conversation for a podcast another day. I know it takes a lot to do a lot of inner work to get to that point,
Mm,
to be confident enough to go, this is who I am. So maybe at some point we can do a bunny term shadow work
Oh, see, I
terminology.
love the word.
But
I love the term shadow work because it saved my life. But
it's good
I
if you
get what you're saying.
understand the meaning. Yeah, so we're
yeah.
going to that another day, but it's good if you understand the meaning of shadow work, bunny ears. Um, but I think it takes a lot to get you there to that point of going, no, this is my path and I'm standing in it. And I think everybody should, do a lot of sort of inner looking and thinking about it and try not to get dragged along. Be a salmon, swim the opposite bloody way to the way the river's going and not follow the buggers the other down the river. You know what I mean? And gestures and all that.
Mm,
Yeah, I feel like spiritualism is so individual and unique to each one of us.
Mm,
And it's
absolutely.
and that's the beauty of it. It's like a diamond. We are all in this diamond, and we all reflect the diamond differently. And
Yeah.
nothing is
There's so
better,
many
nothing is
facets to it.
worse. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? It's just
Mm,
what it is. Because we were talking about you'll only be a card reader. I'm gonna just dive into this a little bit. You'll only be a card reader. Who's to say? We were talking about this last night, Mitch. A medium to a card reader to a healer to a person that loves to puts all their love into beautiful homemade crafts to bless people's homes
yeah.
to baking and making a cake that's like the best cake someone's ever, a mouth orgasm as soon as they put it in their mouth. Who's to say what is
yeah.
Is.
higher and
Yeah.
lower and more special? And
Exactly.
it's
Mm,
just different ways the diamond reflects. And like we were saying, someone might need some mediumship and need someone might be in a place that they really want to know that everything's okay on the other side or that there is a other side. They're looking for that evidence. They're looking for that peace in their life. Some might be like, not my cup of tea. I don't want to hear from dad. So I'm going to go for a tarot
mm,
read and I want to just be enlightened about how spirit feels about me and what's going on in my life. And then some people might be like, you know what? I really need some somatic healing and I want to lay there and I want someone to just love my body through with spirit. Does that make sense? And put that love back in my body. And some might be like, you know what? I feel like a good fucking piece of cake right now.
That would be me.
And like some of those moments are the most special moments where you're like, oh my God, this is the best piece of cake I've ever. So who's to say what is more special? It's all coming from spirit, it's all coming from source, and it
mm.
all
It's all
blesses
coming from
each
good
other.
intention. Mm, mm. Well,
Yeah.
it all should come from good intention. Doesn't always, but it should.
I think we have a mixed bag of things. Is that I believe a lot of people have that good intention, but then it gets
Mm.
diluted by other feelings of wanting, really desperately wanting to be seen and noticed, and then they get jealous, and then because I've been there
Mm.
where I'm like such good intentions, and then I get into the moment with everyone around me, and then all these other feelings arise in me. Does that make sense? And I'm like, no,
Mm.
I know I'm here for good intentions. That's my human nature right now, and I'm just going to put that to the side. I'll look at you later, but right now
Yeah.
I'm going to go with my good intentions, and I'll put you to the side, and I'll look at you why you were there later on. Because
Mm.
we all have that
Mm.
side to us. Does that make sense? And but
Mm.
it's what you do
Oh,
with
yeah.
that side too. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's being a that's having a human experience, and that's being
Mm.
aware of your feelings and aware of how those emotions, again, this is the wonderful world of shadow work, which I think we're probably going to have to go and do. But that's being aware of what your emotions are doing within your body and how they're reacting and how you're reacting to them. It's more of how you react to them and what you do with them and how you deal with them, isn't it? So there's a
Exactly.
human having a human experience, definitely.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to have to cover how and help people. We're going to have to cover that subject, aren't we? And help people
I
digest
think it would be a good,
what it
yeah.
is.
Negotiate that.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely,
yeah,
definitely. Just to let you know, guys,
yeah.
we are nearly on the witching hour.
I thought we
Mm.
were. I thought we were. Well, what a great discussion, you guys. I love talking to you guys. I do.
It's always
Oh, I don't
interesting. All
mind
the
talking
rabbit
to you
holes that we go
neither.
down.
Yeah, yeah. I just it just gets flowing and I just love it. So anyway, let's say our goodbyes to everyone.
Oh,
Plus, I want to put a little cheeky shout out. Please like and subscribe our YouTube page or Spotify. Um, it would be really lovely. On YouTube, we're Never Cross a Witch because they wouldn't let me put the bitch in there. So sorry. It's Never Cross a Witch podcast, but please like and subscribe to our page, and then we have a Facebook page that you can follow, and it's a
yeah,
really
a
safe
private, a
place for
private
people
group.
to express their opinions and um, be
And it is
seen and
actually really
heard.
lovely. People have been actually putting some feedback, which is really nice now.
Yeah,
Mm.
it is
And
really lovely to
it's a
hear
safe,
people's stories.
yeah. It's a
Yeah.
nice, safe, closed group. It's a private group as well,
It's
so
a
you have
private
to
group,
request
yeah.
to join. Yeah,
And if we get
yeah.
any
And
a-holes
it's a
on
nice
there, we'll
safe
get
space.
rid of them as fast as they come in, okay? I promise you. We promise you that. We give you that promise, don't we, guys?
We do.
Well, I promise you I'll get rid of them. They're just like, no,
Yeah, we don't have any people that are
no, we
not.
don't. But you know how people join groups and you don't know who they are, and then, but
Oh, I do a
we're
little bit of
monitoring it.
investigation
Yeah,
first. I'm like, do
exactly.
I
Same with
want this
me.
Oh
person
yeah,
in?
Yeah,
yeah.
same
We'll
with
do a
me.
little bit of stalking, do
Yeah,
profile, have a little look.
exactly, exactly. I'm like, oh, they're friends with Carly? No, no, I'm joking.
Thanks,
I'm only
Liz.
joking. Anyway, oh, I'm gonna cough now. Love and light to all of you, and namaste from Lucy.
Yeah,
Uh,
love and light. Cheers, everybody.
Take care, guys. See you all very soon. Bye for now.
Bye for
Bye.
now. I'm sorry, there's a new place for the button, and I don't know where. Oh, there it is. Oh.